We're going to start off in the top left-hand corner with the blue Terran player representing Team Liquid, Clem. Of course, he got qualified straight through to this round of 16 of the playoffs because he was doing very well in previous WardiTV events this season. 8 players got straight through to the playoffs. The other 8 had to come from the group stages, and that includes this player in the bottom right, our red Protoss from Dragon Kaisi. It is herO. And of course, just unlucky that these two meet in the first round. Like, we had so many good players seeded in from, you know, the other WardiTV events this season. We had so many good players come out of the group stages. It was kind of just inevitable that we were going to have some very brutal first round matches. Like, yeah, it was just going to happen. It's not an easy cup. It's not an easy tournament. So, definitely expect this to be a fun one as we get it underway. So it is going to be some TVP action, and obviously Clem herO, I mean, talk about these two, and I really feel like you've got a match between two players who are very, very fun against each other. I will always think back to that Valencia round of 8 match where Clem was up 2-0 and herO just swung it around, just started playing a completely different style of StarCraft, and Clem just couldn't really recover. You know, you look at their history and it has been back and forth. herO had a bit of a streak against Clem in 2022, but this year, or towards the end of last year, Clem got a 3-2 against herO, then he lost again to herO. And in general, herO actually has been very good against Clem since his return, so... But it's been close. Like, there's been a lot of closer matches in amongst those, so... I guess let's see. Honestly, a matchup that I think a lot of people will feel can go any which way. As SCV heads on down to the bottom right. Just gonna go adventuring into the natural and to see what's going on. Obviously, when you're playing against herO, early SCV scouts are almost a necessity because you're playing against someone who will not hold back. They will do so many different things, try and attack you in so many different ways. You need to know what's happening when herO is in the game. If you don't know what's happening, you're gonna have a bad time. We're heading down to the bottom right. The Twilight Council is coming up. I'm just going to see the Adept moving out. Twilight Council, our first tech of the game from the Protoss player, showing us likely a blink opening. As the Reaper wants to hop up in toward the main, but the Adept is going to be positioned pretty nicely to try and stop that from happening as well. The Reaper just has to escape up to the top side for the moment, and will be away for now. Obviously, really important for that Reaper to try and stay alive, at least to keep a tab on things, keep an eye on what's going on, maybe give itself up even, if that's what's needed to get in for the scout at some stage. We'll just have the Hellion moving out onto the map as well. A little bit of a journey across to the bottom right-hand side. Reaper coming over. Blink is on the way. Warp Gate is on the way. The Europa facility and the Gateway are both coming up as well then. So it's a lot of setting up, basically, for the early few moments here. Kind of as we expect. Raven on the way from Clem, which we know can be a big influence in these Robo-based openers, especially because that Raven has a high chance of surviving to the later game unless Blink Stalkers get the better end of it. And as herO only plays a second gateway, he is taking double gas, so it looks as though he will be teching off of 2 bases. Double gas typically more often than not means Robo Bay and Colossi off 2 bases. We'll see if that's going to ring true here from herO, as he does only have 2 gateways, so it's not going to be for a bunch of Stalkers, that's for sure. I could imagine that Robo Bay comes down probably with the next little chunk of gas that we get, so... Let's see, herO kind of starting to float high on the minerals as well, so may think about dropping the Nexus in, but if you drop the Nexus down without spending that gas first, you're going to start getting an excess of gas because you're just mining so much of it. So that's definitely a factor to look at as well as the Raven does work its way around to the bottom left corner. Around we go. Just going to head toward the main over these next few moments. There indeed is the Robo Basic confirming for us kind of the expectation. herO going to go into the Colossi that he was kind of showing us based on the gases. And at some point, we'll try and take the third. Until then, the Raven's actually going to get aggressive. So Raven to come in and attempt some harassment. Obviously, there's been nothing going on Clem's side of the map, so he's got not really much reason to keep the Raven at home. So you can extend the Raven out. You can go for some auto turret harass. This obviously will slow down the Protoss player. And the best part of this is the Raven will remain a threat, just sat behind the mineral line for a long time. And eventually, if you can slip it out and rejoin it with the army, it means you've just gotten so much more value out of that Raven, and you're still likely to have the energy, or if you save the energy, you can still have the energy to drop down if required, or if wanted, the interference matrix in one of these later fights. So that is all typically very beneficial, as we have the observer speed actually getting upgraded as well. Always fun to see the ob speed, but you know, something you don't see all the time, but actually does have quite a bit of value in it, right? The observer speed allows you to really move around the map very easily, very comfortably. That is usually a pretty reasonable factor, as you just have the disruptor coming out, getting chrono boosted for a few moments. A few Stalkers just going to go sit at the front. We do have combat shield, we do have +1, we do have concussive shells all planning out as well. So herO going to have all those upgrades to deal with. As he tries to look with a disruptor shot, it goes back the other way as the Stalkers try and catch this little bio move out as well. That disruptor is not in the best of positions. Clem finally stims some units after it to go chase. Obviously, he doesn't have concussive shells just yet, but he's about to. I think he's going to kill that disruptor. Stalker's getting a few kills. There is indeed the disruptor going down, so disruptor falling. And Clem on a push across the map that herO might struggle to deal with. A few Stalkers will begin to pull back and blink away out of trouble. Got a force field or two on the ramp as well. We do land one disruptor shot onto a disruptor there initially. Onto a marauder, sorry. And the Raven does join up with his army. I mentioned this idea of getting the Raven back to this for some matrices and so on. I wouldn't mind causing the Stalkers to waste a blink in the background. Obviously no Colossi, which is what I was really talking about at first. We went straight to the disruptors, and obviously with the prism speed, you're hoping to get aggressive with those disruptors on the map. Now Clem dives forward. He didn't have the damage output to kill that disruptor in time. He will definitely not have the damage output for this one. He will at least kill it after the shot, so he's limiting the disruptor count for future trades. As Clem is down a lot of workers, so the fact he's losing army here could be concerning. I mean, he's traded out well in army, but herO has way more rebuild potential than Clem does right now, and that is going to be potentially what can decide this game. Who can invigorate themselves coming out of these battles ahead of the next map. Up speed has to be a misclick. It definitely starts to feel like it, right? Maybe it was meant to be prism speed and get the prism on the map, but then he never built a prism. So then it kind of feels like it maybe is for ob speed, and you just want that vision to be very good so you can catch good disruptor shots. It's weird, no? Like, I would understand it being a misclick if he'd made a prism and the prism was like, you know, something that was meant to be dropping the disruptors, because that was kind of my thought as well when I saw disruptors over Colossi, but yeah. I don't know. The ob speed is, you know, it's not normal. I don't dislike it. It's just so early for ob speed. And he doesn't even have that many obs. He has one obs. I mean, obviously he has lost two. So it's that's kind of painful, right? It's like you've built observer speed, yet you've still lost two observers. That's interesting. These Zealots actually get caught over here. They're not going to be able to get around for the counterattack they were initially intending. So they will not succeed. Stalker's cleaned up a bit of vision over there. The one observer that's still around, providing vision on that base, so you know that that Marine was stood there blocking it. So we get to that pretty much straight away. Stalkers blink up, biostims away again. Actually, on the side, nope. Let's turn around for a moment, grabbing another Stalker kill. So one more Stalker dropping down dead. Coming forward, we get rid of a Widow Mine as well. Widow Mine's burrowing up, Bioforce still collecting together, a little bit more bio coming out to the front with everything else there. We'll drop down the Robo facility, next is about halfway done, the Medevac's loading up. We'll see herO on the offensive coming forwards, but needs to be careful because you know Clem is so good at diving in with those units and chasing those disruptors. He's fearless a lot of the time, right? Clem is. And that's what makes his TVP so terrifying sometimes, is that he will take some of the fights that you don't expect him to take as the Protoss. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, like, you're not meant to be fighting me right now. You're not meant to be taking this engagement. And so you're just not ready to take a fight, and then you have to kind of improvise a little bit more than you're expecting to. That can be, I mean, not just the danger of Clem's TVP, but also his TVZ, right? He's just so confident in the fights. It makes it much more difficult for the Zerg to really trade with him because he's taking fights you're not necessarily meant to all the time. Widowmine drop was obviously a bit sad. The Widowmine's just wiggling around. Now Clem dives in. He does go up this ramp against the Disruptors. He doesn't just get the one firing. He gets two others as well. So again, resetting the Disruptor count, keeping the splash damage levels of herO low, and continuing to chase through. He's going to continue pushing straight through. This gets another Disruptor before it fires. And my goodness, Disruptors are dropping down all over the place. If this was meant to be a Disruptor drop at the start of the game, it's definitely turned into Disruptor drops this time, but it's the other player that's dropping them Disruptors because they just keep dying. Clem relentless against them. Now getting some libs to help solidify these positions. Stalkers can clean up libs, but if they blink forward underneath them to get the quick kills, there's Widowmines protecting the Liberators, so these Stalkers are in a weird place, and Stalkers don't trade well against the Bio, and there's not the Disruptor count to stop the Bio from standing there and pushing out damage. And that's obviously a major deal, a major issue, honestly. Try to come back up this ramp once again. Another Disruptor about halfway done. Fire this Disruptor down the ramp. Zealots will charge through. And Widowmine's going off all over the place. Yeah, Widowmine's going to go grab a couple of Zealots there as well. That's nice. I mean, obviously finally breaking through this position. herO can chase a little bit, but Clem has such an army lead, and these Disruptors do kind of need to clean out these mines before they get to fire again. Anytime a mine fires twice, it's just so much more value than what the Widowmines were probably initially meant to gain. And these two Widowmines are about to go off, and the Stalkers are just walking into them. Here is that Disruptor to ward off the Terran, while also then turning it into the Disruptor, into the mines with that Disruptor shot. That was nicely done. There's a few probes though, low ground and high ground shots. We again use the Disruptor to ward off the Terran, then turn into the Widowmine to guarantee the cleanup. I like that. He's not just going for the mine, he's threatening Clem's army first. And if Clem doesn't react, then boom, you get a massive army connection. If Clem does react, you still have time to turn that Disruptor shot into the Widowmine. So it's a very smart usage of the Disruptor, right? It's a very minor thing, but it's much better than just firing straight at the mine, which is kind of the initial goal of the shot. He's trying to, he's essentially getting like multi-use out of the Disruptor, and he's given himself the chance, right? He's increasing the percentage chance he hits a good shot because he is at least going for the shots before just using them for cleanup. So, yeah, good little attention to detail. That Disruptor's firing still, obviously a lot of them, so he can really dictate the pacing of this battle. He can really decide when Clem engages in or not. Clem has to respect the Disruptors. He has to keep counting back against them. If you don't, it's a one-trip ticket to GG. The moment you don't respect a Disruptor, it goes off in the middle of your army. This whole Protoss force begins to swarm you. That's the whole point. The Disruptors keep the Terran army away until you can take the right fight as the Protoss, and then you have a swarming army that is very good at overrunning your opponent because it's just so many units. Looks like a Disruptor shot went off on a bit of friendly fire there. A Stalker going down. A little bit of disagreement amongst those Protoss forces. Yikes. Bang, 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 bang. And Disruptors just keep on going. Clem having to, again, just back it up. Keep on retreating away. Gets rid of one Disruptor here. Forces a blink back as well, which is nice because now you've already got the Stalkers back and away. It doesn't seem like much, but it's a few seconds where those Stalkers can't come in and engage you and then blink back to safety after they've already blinked back to safety. So getting the Widowmine to do that rather than losing a couple of bio units, again, just adds to the value that you're finding here as Clem. So Target fire Disruptor there, now decides to lift off. Clem must have a lot more army somewhere. Easy just loses, I believe that was a full medevac. Yep, there it is. Massive drop from Clem heading across the map, because he's already had to give up this base. How much more is he going to have to give up for this drop into the main, and is it going to be worthwhile? herO's getting a pretty decent jump start onto this set of trades. He's going to go straight onto the low ground. He doesn't go for the main, which might have been the call here to shut down production. Finds a robot facility on this location too, so can shut that down, stop further Disruptors from producing. herO is zero chill. He's going straight into the main. He's not going to let Clem build up too much further here. Pulling straight into deny the Liberator, knows that that can be very costly if multiple libs get up defensively. That's going to be hard for him to break down later. I'm not sure if Clem's doing enough on the base trading of this, because like I say, he's taking down active bases. herO is straight up on top of the production and working his way through all this production. Nexus will go down. Zealots and the Storks continue to pick through the main. It's doing a great job of this. Factory continue to take damage. Reactor, the couple of barracks. And back over the left, the Nexus goes down. A couple of disruptor shots firing. A Zealot will drop. Stalkers picking their way through a few more Marines. This army of Clem is all he's really got left. He lost out on a lot on the other side. Disruptor shots will not go off as he drops the EMPs, but the Ghost can't put out enough damage following this. He tries to target fire down disruptors, but herO looks as though he's going to clinch this game away from Clem to take the 1-0 lead. And herO, man, just was kind of getting bullied a lot this game. Clem was taking some great fights, but towards the tail end, herO got some better shots. Clem wasn't able to create the fight against the 8 or 9 disruptors that were up and running. And without being able to do that, herO just kept on striking, and then Clem's trying to counterattack drop, and herO just gets the heads up, right? Like, herO gets to start doing damage before Clem does, and that's the major part of why this game goes herO's way. I feel like he's just trying to, you know, nag at me a little bit. Anyways, top left corner, let's get into this action. Game number 2 will be starting with the red Protoss player from Dragon Kaiser, winning up from that game number 1 in the end. It is herO. Bottom right, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid, it is Clem. This, of course, guys, is the WardiTV Winter Championship 2023. If you are enjoying the tournament, then obviously do consider supporting in any way that you can. If you follow on the Twitch channel, or if you're watching this on YouTube, consider dropping a subscription. Always goes a long way. See when more videos go up or when more streams go live. If you're really enjoying the stream and would like to support even further, obviously do consider subscribing. I've got 2,000 people in here. I can tell you right now, there's a couple of Prime subs that are looking for a home. So if you've got a Prime sub going free, help us out. Every time you guys subscribe, we take at least $1 of that subscription. Usually nowadays, more $1.50 to $2 of that subscription, and we turn it into a WardiTV tournament prize pool. So it's a fantastic way to support. It's a fantastic way to get these events continuing to happen. So if you're enjoying this, consider priming us, subbing us, gifting us. Helps us to keep running these tournaments. Most importantly, though, keep on watching. That's the main thing. That you guys watching wouldn't be able to do all these tournaments as well. So thanks for being here. As we work our way through start of game 2, Clem trying to get the command center down, but is being blocked by a little probe. Just a couple of moments. Has to pull the extra CV. Gets the kill, though. Probe going down. That is a nice little grab. So, Cononis, thank you so much for the subscription. Welcome. You have officially made the sellout section worthwhile. Thank you so much. Appreciate the sub. Thank you. I feel like that's what Twitch needs. Twitch need a badge that I can be like when I do a sellout segment, I can press a button. It's like suddenly if you subscribe during the sellout segment, you're like sellout success. I don't know what they would be called, but it's like you made the sellout segment worthwhile. Something like that. While it counts the opening here from herO, he obviously opened Blink last game. Man, herO last week was opening Robo, Robo, Robo. In every single game of PvT, it was just a Robo facility. And was doing so many different things with it. It was almost like he was just like, okay, this week I'm going to never build a Stargate or a Twilight in like my PvTs. So he really didn't. And now this week he's not going into that again. He's kind of going more for the more standardized stuff. Obviously, observer speed maybe isn't super standard, but the rest of it was pretty, you know, normal and kind of, you know, as expected, I suppose. Yeah, it's almost like last week was just Robo week from here. He's like, I'm going to dedicate this week to figuring out if I can actually open Robo reliably. And now we're back to just the other styles. Fire pushes up, and 3 Marines going to get in for what, an Adept kill, and maybe you can grab 2 probes on the tail end of this. 2 was very optimistic, wasn't it? 1 single probe, so an Adept and a probe, but the Hellions now get through. They're going to commit on the natural. They're not going to dive up into the main. We will get rid of 1 more probe here. We will get rid of 2. We go into the main to try and scout, but we will not get there. You could probably say that you've already got good information here with that Hellion. Obviously, seeing extra Stalkers pretty much just guarantees the fact that this is going to be a continued Yeah, continue Twilight Council play probably into Blink. Bunker coming up at the front. Marauder and a couple Marines still coming through. Our Stimpack is coming in. Our Prism is chrono boosting out of that robo, and we do have our gateways building up for now. Next, the Stalkers warping in. Here we're going to move down. Obviously, this time a very different kind of style. 4 gates, not 2 gates in the Robo Bay. So just going to go much more aggressive with these Stalkers from the very beginning. And we are going to see those Stalkers blinking straight into the main base right now. So in we go. Stalkers go through. Combat Shield is going to get denied immediately. Via stimming further into this main. Stalker's actually going to recall, so we're going to lose 2, 3. Okay, just the 2. Alright, well that means though that now you know these units on the map. Immediately Clem loads up the Medivacs and I'm going to say go across the map, but he's going to find the Warp Prism here. I think that's a guaranteed kill, right? Even if you unsiege that and try and run it away, it's very unlikely it gets away. Clem would have stimmed if he needed to as well. That's an even better catch, because not only now were the Stalkers backing away, but now also there's no reinforcement points, so actually this entire 4-gate blink play may not be shut down forever. You can still probably bring another Prism across and keep going, but it's delayed heavily, so it gives Clem a bit of freedom and a bit of time where he doesn't have to worry about it so much. Very freeing for the Terran that usually gets locked up against 4-gate blink defending for so long. So yeah, a bit too heavy of a dive into the main base and having to recall away just really stunts your ability to keep on being aggressive. And you can see now Clem is just on the map trading as well. It's just not as threatening when these Stalkers can jump in anywhere and when you as the Terran player are a little bit more controlling of the situation. More Stalkers go down. We do have Combat Shield about to finish up. +1 attack upgrade is coming through as well. Finishing shortly. Fire comes across. Few Stalkers getting hit. The Prism continuing to escape away. The Widow Mines get burrowed up. Those Stalkers taking some shots, and do have the +1 attack upgrade now finishing here from Clem. Those with a few more shots again. Nexus coming up on that 3rd base. Charge on the way, an extra group of gateways coming up, a couple of SCVs on the way down as the Stalkers get into the main again. So herO maintaining the pressure, maintaining the aggression as we try and come through the main. Stalkers are there immediately, and the Medivac drops in an instant. So Medivac does go down. Charge is still ticking along, about halfway done. Obviously, a nice addition here for Stalkers to have some friends. There's not really much other than Stalkers still. Like, we're 8 minutes in game and it's still purely Stalkers. Our first Immortal coming up, obviously I just mentioned the charge, so Zealots can join the fray shortly, but a little worried. I mean, especially if Clem was... I was going to just say, does he have a Ghost Academy? Or if he adds a Ghost Academy right now and like goes with his first 2 or 3 ghosts, I get kind of worried for herO because it's the kind of army that would just sort of melt to that. He's going to be down in upgrades as well. Obviously, Clem, as he takes the 3rd base, might be able to actually afford the Ghost now. Because until that 3rd base was taken, Ghosts were obviously kind of off the menu. So we'll see how soon he goes there. Obviously, it is a Ghost kind of game. You know, there's not really any tech to invigorate you to go any different direction for Clem. And usually it's just a matter of time until that Ghost Academy comes into play when you're playing the TVP. Because Ghosts are just very good. Would you believe it? They just, EMP's pretty decent against Protoss units, I know. Shocking, right? Well, Prism play into the main base. Can we actually get the warp in here? He's going to cancel it. Widowmine hasn't fired yet, by the way. It's still unburrowed. As a couple of mines get some work done. herO busy in the middle of the map as well, fighting Clem off. Hero's supply lacking, as he has lost a lot of units the last few moments. Now these Widow Mines move in again for a couple of probes. This one, the natural, never actually burrowed. He just started walking away. This one comes back online, though, and it gets a chunk of kills. How about that for some damage? And suddenly hero's down 9 probes, and actually hero's just behind on workers altogether, 49 to 53. So herO has fallen down in that work account. And Clem can take a little bit more of a commanding setup here. Fire coming out to the left. Stalkers and a couple of Immortal Zealots as well make their way forward as herO comes down to the bottom right side of the map on this move across. The Zealots going down. Widow Mines beginning to go off. A lot of these Zealots actually getting picked away at right now, so decent amount of damage being taken, and again, it's only really Stalkers left over. Fire Force continuing to trade out a little bit. We do have the Immortal. Taking a little bit more damage. Stalkers pull back a little bit again. Couple Widow Mines burrowing up. Force Field goes down. Those Zealots getting stuck. The rest of this Bioforce wants to come forward again. Widow Mine goes for the Stalkers. Stalkers just blink away to the side. Those few Zealots continue to get picked away at. A lot of damage going out on those Zealots, as the Stalkers have to blink back here as well. A couple of Immortals all coming through. The Sentries gathering up. But Clem able to hold strong with Widow Mines in place. Some of them coming off cooldown. It doesn't feel like hero's ever going to have quite enough to fully run into this battle. Let's see if he can do it right now. There's a new Ghost with an EMP available up this ramp. EMP onto the Mortals would have been nice. The Stalkers blink in. Can we zone out the bio from getting these Stalkers stuck? It feels like the Stalkers might need to blink back in a moment. They're eating Widow Mine shots as well. And the last few Zealots going down. The reinforcement round of Zealots is just about to show up, and Clem's going to pull SCVs to try and stay alive in this scenario. I think he's going to be fine. He's up an upgrade. And honestly, he has a lot of bio as well. The SCVs are just a safety measure to make sure he will be able to have enough to overwhelm this. And he does. Now it's only a few Zealots left. It's actually okay for him to kite against that. One Immortal survived this fight. We actually go down a pretty even supplies following this. But Clem has just hit +2 attack. And he's about to hit +2 armor. So his army is getting so much better than hero's. The continued upgrades are something that herO has not invested into. And that's going to be a major turning point from here on out. Especially right now as Clem surges forward in army supply. Not only will he have an army supply lead, but combine that with an upgrade lead, and these engagements are going to be terrifying for herO to have to go up against. So we'll see if herO can wiggle his way out of this, but I feel like he's in trouble, as he just kept on attacking. Obviously no 4th base from herO either, so very committed on these 3 bases. He doesn't really have a get out of jail free card now following these attacks. I mean, he adds a bunch of High Templars, so you can go into some additional Archons, but we've got more Ghosts on the way, so it's not like Archons are going to be the key here. Archons will just melt to EMP fire, of course. And I think, well, why are we still attacking, right? If we, you've kind of got like a good eco back at home. I think the problem is herO knows he needs to attack, because if he lets up the pressure, I think he's very aware that Clem's army is going to come across the map and roll him. Like, herO can't take a fight on his own side of the map because he's just that far behind. So I think knowing that, he's being very cautious about kind of what he's doing. And yeah, I mean, that's why he was continuing to fight. Now he's going to go and pull back home. But now Clem comes across the map. And is this the fight we've been talking about? Remember, we've got 2-2 against 1-0 upgrades. EMP is set and ready to deal with the Archons. Not convinced that this is going to be what herO needs to defend, but for now, Clem doesn't attack in, so the game will continue on. Knocking down a Pylon to the right side. Clem getting access to a 4th base. That's going to be as well, not just a 4th, but an orbital too, so extra mules, extra scans off of that instead of just using it as a planetary force. Catches a chunk of these Zealots, as again, herO still feeling the need to be the aggressor. I do not blame him for that. I get it, I understand. If you let Clem kind of run around this map, you can see Clem's army supply is obviously starting to look nasty as well. 100 to 50. I feel like herO did need to give it the pressure, just needed to end it while he had a little bit of momentum, but now it looks like Clem is bouncing back with full throttle. And Even if Zealot's going to strike this right side, I actually think this attack from Clem heading bottom left might just be game ending. Like, he's got a good amount of ghosts, he's got a massive army supply. These ghosts are ridiculous. He can EMP every Archon, and even the super battery is unlikely going to be able to heal up, because even if it does heal up, we could probably re-EMP them. I'm being cautious about when he picks the fight, going to let the Widow Mines do some of the initial work. There's the EMPs, instantly Archons are melting. One Archon begun to get healed, and that was it. GG's, herO taps out. Clem is going to tie this series 1 game each, so 1-1 between Clem and herO right now, as we will be all tied up and going. In the bottom left-hand corner of the map, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid, this is Clem. 1-1 here in this best of 3, as in the upper right-hand side, it is the red Protoss player, herO. Third annual WardiTV Winter Championship, yeah. I mean, we started off initially, we ran the Summer Championship, right? Was the initial championship that we ran. And we ran the Summer Championship in 2018, 2019. Apparently not in 2020. I wonder if that's just because we had, I think in 2020 it just became like, everything got squished together with DreamHack seasons all of a sudden, and it was just super busy. It just became very difficult to stream then, I think. But yeah. It's amazing how far we've come running these events. I mean, because we've been running events for years upon years. This is a, it's actually been over 10 years we've been running tournaments for now. It's pretty sick. If you think of it like that. Kind of insane, actually. Bonkers. 2 SCVs, nibble up some probe action to start. As our command center goes down on the natural. And the SCV just going to come and chase our probe out. Front and... yeah, nothing really too much just yet. Pretty chill for the moment, these first early moments of the game. Reaper moving to the upper right hand side. I'm gonna hop into the main base. As we hop into the main, drop grenades. Our first few probes will start to take a little bit of damage off of that. The Adept gonna shade down. Go after that Reaper. And the Reaper's just gonna rotate back around up into the main. Try and head through some damage over here. Obviously, just scouting information as well. It's going to be a Stargate opening from herO. Clem's going to proxy his starport, I think. Oh, no? He had an SCV on the top side. Doesn't proxy the starport, though. I wonder if it's because it's a Stargate he decides against it. He actually builds a second rack. So he has the gas to have built a starport. Although he was going tech lab on the factory already, so I guess maybe he was never going to go for a Hellion drop or anything. Yeah, maybe this was all just built in. Depends when you're on a cycle. It just looked like the SCV was in position there to get something done, right? It just felt as though something was going to come of that, but obviously in the end it did not. A few Marines and the Adept will just have a little bit of a showdown. And yeah, cycle on the way, Marines on the way, and just prepping to deal with this Phoenix play. Obviously, if you can do well with the initial Marines and the Cyclone, or 2, you can obviously do very well in this game, because if you take a bit of damage here as herO, and then Stimpack is done and there's 3 racks of units, it's very hard to stabilize against that when you're playing the Phoenix Heavy Opener, so you have to really minimize initial damage taken here as herO. You need to make sure that nothing really gets out of control, and on top of that, you need to make sure you've got the right amount of units to defend a ground-based attack. It's all well and good having the Phoenix, but typically an Immortal is a priority in this scenario. On top of the Immortal would not be a bad thing to see some additional gateway units. We go straight to the Robo Bay, which is fine, but yeah, there's the Immortal. I was just going to say, I would just like to see the Immortal as well. You know, go to the Robo Bay, tech up if you want to. That's no issues at all with that. I just really feel as though we need the Immortal with this, because otherwise you really do just end up a lot more vulnerable on the ground than you would originally want to be. So yeah, pretty happy to see that as the Phoenix and the Adepts just hang around on the natural. Do you see Stim, Combat, all on the way up, Marines and Marauders all popping out as well. So all of that coming through for the moment. So drop a pylon down on the bottom side. So herO may be looking for some aggression. I mean, even if that's just a warp in for a couple of counter-attacking cells, it's not a bad idea. Here's the push, though, from Clem. And again, lots of Marines. Stim is going to be done. herO's moving toward a third base. That's what Clem would love to delay and just stop herO from having until the first Colossus is out, at least. First Colossus being your probably best chance of being able to deny these Marines. And this one Adept will go down. I'm terrified for the fact these Immortals are so far forward. I think this is a horrible idea. I don't think herO really realizes how many units there are, no? It's just going to be a feast for Clem. He's going to get rid of everything. I just don't think he realized how many Marines there were going to be. I think the fact this was a 3-racks follow-up has caught herO a bit off guard, even though he hasn't seen a single starport unit. Yeah, just no reason to be that far forward. Just don't take the third base yet, right? Your Colossus is going to be about half a minute. Take your third base half a minute later. Then it's a completely different scenario as Clem just knocks down a whole bunch of tech units. Now, it's not going to be done and dusted just yet. Clem obviously lost a good chunk of units himself. It's just a reset on some of those tech units, especially in the Phoenix department. We've got 1 Phoenix remaining. So now you don't have the support of those Phoenix to protect the Colossi or anything. So that's definitely going to be a little bit of a challenge as well. As our bio kind of stemming up, getting some shots onto that Nexus for a few moments. Starport about halfway done. A couple of barracks still building here from Clem. Seeing the +1 attack upgrade on the engineering bay. Finishing soon. Do we have enough to, attack a Colossus? Maybe, if herO keeps pushing forward like this. I feel like he's feigning aggression or feigning kind of belief in his army, but honestly, I could see Clem just splitting and jumping on that. It's going to unload on the other side. Obviously, Clem doesn't necessarily need to jump on it, and he is going to, if herO keeps moving forward and just commits with this, Clem can just, have his reinforcements coming in from a different angle and really enable a better fight. Obviously, the big scare right now is that the force fields turn out to be very good as Clem loads up again. Where's he going to go with these medevacs? No, he's just going to unload once more. I don't think he was convinced that herO is going to keep attacking across the map here. 2 Stalkers going down, the Colossi shot going down as well. Phoenix going down in an instant, by the way. We kite away to the bottom right. There are going to be reinforcements from that direction. The Stalkers come through, but of course it was Phoenix Colossus. There's no blink. Otherwise, that would have been a group of dead medevacs. So Clem gets away with that without issue. Take our way through this command center. The couple of Vikings will just go after the Phoenix for a moment. The bio comes back in. Vikings still going after the Colossus as well, as the Colossus taking some shots. Gonna go down. Just so many Vikings, you can land them afterwards to deal with the Stalkers, and herO clearly felt like his situation led him into the need to just be super aggressive and just super committed here, and didn't really see himself being able to kind of play a longer game or anything. So that is going to be herO pretty much just wiped out. Entire army taken down. Not in a great eco position. No probes on the third base at all, so no economy there. And it looks as though Clem, and there is confirmation that Clem is going to take game number 3 of this series, and Clem will be moving to the winner bracket round of 8. herO is going to have to fight his way through the lower bracket today, and that will be against the loser of Solar and Ryung. That will end up being our last match today, a bit further down the line, obviously.